The Nykaa story and its unbelievably fabulous listing has been celebrated all around, not only because it's heralding the coming of age of consumer internet companies' participation in the equity markets, it's mirroring where our economy is heading and how consumer habits are changing, but it's also a celebration of a woman entrepreneur breaking glass ceilings and shattering really glass ceilings. Falguni Nair has made it a point to talk about how Nykaa was her vision, which she started at age 50, and she wants it to be an inspiration to others. Nykaa's listing reminds me, in some sense, of another very big listing several years ago of a company called Biocon. And after that, the woman at the helm of affairs became an even bigger name. It's important today to talk about women entrepreneurs. Of course, Nykaa, like all the other listed companies, will be scrutinized on their balance sheet every quarter. They will not be spared because they have women entrepreneurs on the top. But today is a day when we can give a big thumbs up to companies led by women because of all the hurdles that they have to face. So, talking to us about this is Kiran Mazumdar Shaw, Executive Chairperson Biocon, Sari Chahal, Founder and CEO of Shiros, and Kanu Sharma, Co-Founder House of Candy and CEO of Chewbox. Welcome to all of you and thank you so much for speaking with us. Kiran, let me begin by getting your take. You tweeted out a lovely message as well today after Nykaa's fabulous listing. Did it remind you of that very big day several years ago?
Well, certainly, I just wanted to also share another bit of information which many people may not know. But Falguni actually was involved in my own IPO because she was actually, supporting my IPO from Kotak Mahindra, who was one of the bankers who led my IPO. So I've known Falguni from those very early years when she was actually, dealing with IPOs and supporting IPOs role that she was playing at Kotak Mahindra. So I've known Falguni for many years, a very, very accomplished and very bright woman, I can tell you. And it's no surprise that she's had such a successful IPO today. And I'm really, really thrilled to see her really kind of busting all myths and breaking all ceilings, and of course breaking the stock market as well. So I'm just really delighted to see her, launch into this space as again India's richest self-made billionaire. And I'm glad that she's done that because I was holding that position for too long, and I was waiting for someone to overtake me. And I'm glad it's Falguni because she's worked hard, and I've seen her build Nykaa over the years with so much guts and grit and perseverance that I'm really, really thrilled for her.
Yeah, it's been a long journey, not just for entrepreneurship overall, but for women entrepreneurs since Biocon listed and, of course, Nykaa is listed today. A lot has changed, but perhaps not enough. Sairi, let me get you in here. Why does this feel so special? Do women entrepreneurs just face many more hurdles?
Well, I think, look, this is seminal in so many ways. Category creating company, older founder, obviously a smashing IPO. But the truth is, it is rare. You don't see it every day. So it has to be very, very special. And the truth is, it is lining the dreams of so many women out there who are maybe, in a more nascent position of building a company right now, but it does give them the roadmap to say this is how it is done. This is a playbook that somebody out there has gone and built out. But we still have a long way to go. The percentage of venture capital women are raising, the number of women founders building large companies. I think we still have a lot of work at the funnel level to be done. A lot more mainstreaming of women's entrepreneurship. But for today, I think this is a big win. It's a big win because it's category smashing IPO. It's also a big win for a lot of women who haven't seen this happen in recent years. Last 5-7 years, we haven't seen this happen. We've heard a lot of unicorn founders who are men. We've celebrated a lot more, tech bro founders, but I think it's time to put a woman on the map.
Yeah, let me come to that point with you, Kanu. We are in the startup space at a very different trajectory and time in our country, where everything is very egalitarian, right? The barriers to becoming a tech founder and then perhaps a billionaire are much lower. You could be from any background, you just have to have a great idea. Why aren't we seeing more women than in this space?
Well, to answer that, I would like to say from my own experience, after House of Candy is more of a brick and mortar company. And I always wanted to get into the pet space. And when I launched Chewbox last year, I was one of those people who's not from the tech background. I know nothing about floating a website and, doing the algorithms and things like that. I guess this is where people think that you just like to float an idea. People think that you have to come from a certain background. They don't realize to have a team in place, and all you have to do is just go to the right people. You can hire somebody from tech. You can learn as you go. Like I did a whole course last year during the pandemic before I started the business on social media marketing and other things to learn more about it. It's all about, where your enthusiasm lies and how driven really you are. And I believe women in general, like I've got 2 children, they do face a lot of challenges. In terms of, it's very easier said than done. It is at the end of the day the man's world. It is not easy for a woman with 2 kids who's handling one business to start another startup and look at home as well. I mean, obviously we've been fortunate enough to live in cities like Delhi, Bombay, which is more cosmopolitan and people are more forthcoming. However, in smaller towns, I just wish that people feel more encouraged and people support each other. And in my entrepreneurial journey, I had actually another woman who is an entrepreneur, a friend of mine, who helped me throughout. Like she would sit with me in the meetings and she's from the tech background and she helped me through it. So I believe it's all about the support that you get, more than just to get that right, encouragement to get into it. And if anybody, whoever has it can do it. If I could do it, anybody can do it.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not that easy. Kiran, take us through what this journey has been like for you, and do you hope that things have changed for women entrepreneurs who are today looking up to you, who are looking up to Falguni and so many others and saying that, hey, we can also make the next big thing happen?
I've always believed that women have it in them to get to these heights. It's really about, building credibility. I think Falguni has really built that credibility in terms of her entrepreneurial success. I think I also did it in my own way, but I think what's important is this is a new age company. And I think young people must understand that new age companies are very exciting, very rapid to build. And I think you can actually learn from Falguni's success that you too can make it. I think that's the message I want to give to young people today. In my case, of course, I was building a very different kind of business, which took a very long time to basically get me to the capital market. It was a very different time because, there was no venture funding those days. It was all debt financing. So I had a very different journey. I started the company in the late 70s and I listed in 2004. And really, it was only in the last few years of my entrepreneurial journey that I got venture investment. But, in today's day and age, I think venture funding is really, available. I think access to capital markets are much easier. And I think there's a huge recognition that tech is a very, very good asset-like business. And I think that's what you need to draw confidence from Falguni's story. She's worked very hard. I remember when she started Nykaa and she built it up gradually. She's really kind of scaled it up in the last few years. And I think she's really leveraged technology in a very big way. So I would like to sort of say to Kanu and Sairi that, technology is a big game changer. And, you do need to basically leverage technology to create that value and that wealth. Because without that, new age companies are not going to be able to be as successful as Nykaa. So I think you've seen it, whether it's Zomato, whether it's Nykaa, whether it's these new age companies, you've got to leverage technology and build your business and scale your business on an online model. And that's what it's all about, an app, an online model. That's the asset-light business that, that appeals to investors in a big way.
But is it truly a level playing field? Kiran, let me ask you this question. I mean, there's data that shows that for women entrepreneurs, access to funding is the biggest challenge. And the startup space is there for everyone, VCs are there for everyone. Are there tougher questions when there is a woman leading the charge on the other end of the table?
I don't believe they are tougher questions, but I think women feel a little diffident answering those questions. I think men are far more comfortable and confident when they deal with access to capital than women. I think women need to get there, and women need to understand that they too must access capital. And I mean, the opportunities are there. I don't think, and of course, as many people say, unfortunately, the funds are controlled by men. And therefore, I think, when men come very confidently and talk about their businesses, and when women are very hesitant or shy to talk about their businesses in the same way, I think the person who's decides that, hey, I'm not very, I mean, does this woman really have the guts to, build her business? The man seems to be far more confident. I think he'll be able to build his business, and therefore the risk I'm taking with the man is much less than the woman. I think that it's a myth, but I think women have to, bust that myth. I mean, I did that many, many years ago. Falguni's done it today. And I know many other women entrepreneurs who are climbing up the ladder who are also doing that. But I really would like to say to every young woman entrepreneur, it's about really building credibility. And let's face it, we are all capable of building that credibility. I had many more credibility hurdles than young women today. And I always say, if I could do it, you can definitely do it.
Kanu, your real world experience when it comes to things, your real world experience when it comes to things like funding. Do you think that sometimes you're at a disadvantage as a woman when you have to go ahead and explain your vision, your business plan?
What Kiran ma'am said, I could not agree with her more. She was so point on with, from the point of view of the person who's investing in your company. I do feel it is so, she was just bang on with the point where taking a risk with a man, they do feel is much easier than taking with a woman. Because here there is a person who's starting out something. It's a year-old company, like in my case, which is like just at the baby steps right now. We're at the baby level. You do get questions like, are you into it full time? What is your vision? Or how old are your children? Like things that I don't think necessarily a man would be asked, like in, let's say, a normal, funding sort of an interview. So yes, I have definitely felt there are slight disadvantages in certain cases because they do feel that maybe your, I'm sure they don't doubt your vision, but the time and the level of commitment, definitely there is a slight doubt behind their, in their mindset. I have felt that personally.
Sairi, your take on this. So those same questions, if you have a family, will you be able to dedicate that amount of time to a business? And, those kind of questions are there somewhere at the back of the mind. And is that maybe why we are seeing so much of a tech bro culture, as you said, in the startup space? I mean, I find it difficult to believe that 50% of the population doesn't have bright ideas or doesn't have the vision that the other half has. There's clearly something amiss here.
Right. So look, I think a lot of capital is controlled by men, and of course the other part of the puzzle is that we definitely need more women investing, and we need more women paying it forward. So I do hope, Falguni, does pay it forward by either investing in more women founders or creating some vehicles that make it happen. As somebody who's been in the ecosystem, I think we just need more women writing angel checks, more women sort of coming forward, but also holding our communities, our startup communities accountable. You know, the rush of venture capital that we are seeing, we can't let that get get by without increasing the size of funding to women founders. So we need more things to sort of make that happen. But overall, it's a conversation to bring up every now and then. It is an important conversation. There are a lot more women founders who are building potential unicorns. India is going to see more women-led unicorns in the next 2 to 3 years. We're going to see a lot more of them in the next few quarters itself. But this number is going to increase. The number of women who become successful also pave the path for a lot more women to start up. And of course, I think we need the whole ecosystem. We need right from accelerators to seed funding to angel funding to Series A funding to go to women. And there is this massive global movement to make that happen. US saw it grow and mature, like 2020, 2021 saw a massive maturity in the women founders funding models. We saw a lot more action happening, and I think India is going to witness that as well. It may yet not be an equal play, but it's going to be a better play for me.
You know, the interesting thing is that data actually shows, research shows that when you have women founders, they tend to spread their earnings more evenly across communities. It's a virtuous cycle of growth, and it could really add more jobs to India. So if there are any venture capitalists out there listening to this, bet on women. And if they're sounding diffident because of a society that has told them to be underconfident, maybe show a little more patience. Look at what they can achieve.